Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video we're going through the trade targets. Probably going to be a very quick video, as these tend to be the same sort of thing week in week out with the women's, as we tend to see them not have too much of a sway based on matchups, rather than in the men's they can sort of have a general sway a lot more. Maybe that's just because we have a lot less data to go off of in terms of like points for, points against, etc. That's readily available, so it's a lot harder to actually pick and choose who's going to probably score the best. But I think there's generally, as I said last week in the trade targets, the defenders to go to are pretty obvious. The midfielders to go to outside of the top. I mean, the top ones actually didn't perform outside of Marinoff. But then the ruck line's pretty obvious. The top ruck and the second ruck, and then also in the forward line you sort of have I would say almost about three. Well, the forward line sort of open slather, and that's where you can probably make up the most points, but you can also probably it's probably just down to almost luck, given that we've seen almost head clashes sway the forward line massively. So anyway, let's just jump into this video. It's probably, as I said, going to be a quick one. Just get through this. The defenders, it's pretty obvious, as we saw in the last couple of weeks here, that the top defenders here at the moment are Gay, Newton, Sheeran. Those are the top three, as well as I would say Newman is probably also still up there as that fourth. Gay's probably jumped up in my projections over the last couple of weeks. Maybe that was just because North Ball absolutely made her just get tons of points. So maybe there is a little correlation with her scoring points with the really tough teams to play against. But then again, she scored 96 against West Coast in a very uncontested game, it seems like, given she had 7 marks, 1 tackle. So she seems to really score well when she has more marks than tackles. That seems to be when she actually scores. Well, actually, looking at that, even though she's had her highest score here and her other highest score was 7 and 1, she doesn't really actually tend to score well unless it's unless she goes really large. So there's no real correlation there, I would say, just looking at that. Then you've got, Sheeran, she just went off. That's an obvious one that I've just missed this year, even though we talked about it all pre-season, being like Sheeran's going to be the one to grab, and I just missed her. She'll be a midfield only next year, and it'll be an honest thing to be like, is she actually going to score well enough to be a question as a midfielder only next year, given she's priced at 80 currently and she hasn't really hit the tops of it. But I guess she was filtering back in these first 3 games, and if you take those first 3 out, then she's averaging 191, 282, 290, 360 through 4 games. That's an average of 90, so she's still potentially plus 10 if you think about it that way. Is plus 10 really that valuable, or is it just sort of there or thereabouts and you're going to find more value? But yeah, so she's just the one I would be definitely bringing in. Newton is definitely one that I'm considering. You'll see my 2 different trades in my video for the team preview for round 9, and you'll see that in a little while after this one. You've got Gilroy there, 913k. She's been a surprise package. I just think that she's scoring goals, and that's the reason why she's going well. And when she doesn't score goals, you can see it tends to lead to really suboptimal scores. So I'm just one that probably would shy away from that. 68.3, she's a half forward, so I'd just be a little bit concerned there. Georgia Clark, 76. That was mostly off the back of that big game, wasn't it? Yeah, where she scored a 95. Goodwin, she picked up an 82, so she's been good last couple of weeks, but I wouldn't be grabbing her. I'm trying to look for, because you could potentially go, Slash has been alright, but she hasn't been really that good last couple of weeks. I've been surprised how poor Ruby Webster's been in the last couple of weeks. 69, 84, 59. I mean, saying that, she's averaged 71 the last 3 weeks, but that's been considered poor, just given the midfielders and Maddie Gay, how they've sort of gone 85 plus. So yeah, I've been surprised how poor her and Newman have been in the last couple of weeks, averaging only 71 and 70.7 and 72.7. So yeah, Maddie Newman, she sort of had 2 really good games. I would say 2 really good games, a couple of pretty good games, and then some really poor games in between. So she's probably one of the ones I would almost put her slightly below Maddie Gay at the moment, and then I'd have Webster as sort of that 6th best, and then you'd start to have Charlotte Thomas, Watson Heads are probably the next couple, I would say. And then that's pretty much all of the defenders. Then we go to midfielders. Yeah, Marinoff is dominating. She is plus 48. Plus 48 on the next best midfielder. To the point now where if you actually look at it, there is a damn good chance, well, it's pretty much cooked. Pretty much cooked already, that she is 100% basically going to be top scorer. She's 100% locked it up with 2 rounds to go. And that is how how far ahead she is. That Gardner needs to go needs to average 188 points in the last 2 weeks just to overtake her. Is it 183? Only 183 in the last 2 weeks just to overtake Marinoff if Marinoff was to score 2 zeros. That's how far ahead Ebony Marinoff is on Jazz Gardner and the rest of the crew. In terms of the, that's average last 3. The overall average, she's only 39 up on the overall average, not 48. But in the last 3, she's 48 up. That's only 39. It's not like she's, Riddell needs to score 352, which is an average of 176, just to make Marinoff have to score more points, just to be the non-overall total points leader. She's got 1,300 points. I think we calculated it something around the 2,200 points in total out of the 12,000 points that I've scored this year, which is quite ridiculous from Marinoff, which kind of just shows how dominant she's been. Riddell, Garner, Rowbottom. I would still have these 3 as the top 3, even though they aren't the top 3 necessarily in the last 3 averaging. I'm surprised how well Bates is going, but that's probably just because of that solely, that 127. I don't expect her to do that. Sophia Hurley, 100, 101, 118, and then an 85. She'll start to have those filter out, but I think she can go large again. She's probably the pod I would still have, given she's at 1.23 million, but also a good thing that she's not really going absolutely nuclear, because then she's still an option next year. Especially when they get Moffat back and everything sorted in that midfield, because they're currently getting smoked in that midfield, and it's basically just hope that Hurley can figure it out, but hopefully next year she'll be better, and she's averaging 88.3 for the year, which you can still go that, like we went with Blackburn at M4 for her 96. Say you take that's 8 points that you can basically just gift to Marinoff next year, because Marinoff needs points because you're going to need her. Is almost the same, even though at 150 is going to be, it's tough to watch her score. Next year it's going to be tough to watch her score if you don't have her, but also it could be really, really powerful, because you can basically you can almost start with all of the, start with like a full forward line or a full, you can grab that ruck or something like that. You can go other areas where there's probably going to be a better option, etc. Hurley, Conti, McCarthy's been all right. She plays GWS as well, so maybe you can look at that matchup, because GWS don't have a tagger, so maybe you can look at that matchup and grab her in. She probably has a really good matchup. North probably going to be a tough matchup for Hatchard. So North, that's probably a tough matchup, I would say. And then Goering has Collingwood. That's probably a positive matchup as well, given that they basically have no one in that midfield. So you would expect Goering to at least average an all right one, maybe score another 100. Nanscorn and also Prasparkas, tough matchup, I would say. Blackburn is injured. Anderson has Sydney. She's going to get the Kennedy tag. That is a rough matchup. I would be looking at potentially trading out of that, to be honest with you. Maybe you can just go straight to McCarthy, as I don't know if Anderson will score that well, to be honest with you. Gardner potentially back as well should maybe help out Hurley, but could also mean that she just doesn't play in the midfield anymore. But she also has good numbers when she plays half and half forward, half midfield. So that's basically the midfielders. The ruck line is so damn easy. It's, if you don't have money for Strom, you get Schultz. If you don't have money for Schultz, you hope. You hope that your player scores well. Wales has scored well the last couple of weeks, but that's because she's come up against some basically non-ruckman. I mean, she scored really well against Strom, but then came up against West Coast. West Coast basically don't have a ruckman, and then came up against O'Dowd, who just doesn't tap the ball, just doesn't get any hit outs. Hickey, I would hazard a guess, maybe. Nope, Hickey's just come up against... He's done really well the last couple of weeks. Allen has North Melbourne, no thank you. So who has GWS? Well, it's Strom. Good luck. Good luck because Strom is about to go 140. And then forward line, it is Cape Hall. Maloney's actually been an odd one to score really well, so you may look at trying to upgrade the forward line given how horrendous it is. But if you upgrade the forward line, like I did last week with, or I thought I'd be at least sidewaysing it from Huntington to Too Good, you sort of run the risk of it just absolutely blowing up in your face. So that could happen, but I think that Maloney against West Coast is actually a pretty safe bet. And then Mullins against Sydney, that could also work for those people that have Mullins. She's been firing the last couple of weeks. I've been sort of surprised how well she's been doing. But yeah, that pretty much brings us to the end of this trade targets video. There isn't really much. Randall had a shocker, but you still see the top sort of forward line there. You see Randall and Hora still there and thereabouts. Gould's actually the third best forward now as a key, and Maloney. So that's something I'll probably need to remember a little bit more with regards to the women's game, is key forwards can, on good teams, can still really score well. So yeah, that's something that I think I didn't really account for as much this year, and it's really sort of burnt me a little bit with Gould, who's done in the last couple of weeks 84-90 and comes up against North Melbourne, so that'll be a tough matchup, so I don't think there'll be any points there, but she's definitely done well across the year. And so maybe you look at maybe like an O'Loughlin or something like that next week, depending on her matchup, as I don't know who they play in the last round. That's something they should probably add is their fixtures for the rest of the season, as that would just make it a lot easier. But anyway, that is the video there. If you did enjoy it, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and I'll see you guys for the team reveal video soon. Bye guys.